Hello everyone, welcome to London Resort Source. This is episode 13. And in this episode, we're going to have a bit of fun, I suppose. We're going to go through top 5 roller coasters in Europe that we would like to see, because this is our top 5, and we'd like to see at the London Resort.
So we're going to do this as like we're calling it a ride along. So we're going to run each of the POVs for the coasters alongside us, and as it's going, we'll sort of chat about what we like about the rides. If you do like this video, please do give it a like and comment. Let us know what you'd like to see at the London Resort. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do that as well.
So we hope you enjoy the video, and let's get into this. So the first ride we're going to look at here is Colossus at Heide Park, and this is located south of Hamburg, which is North Germany. This is actually a prefab Intamin Woody, and this thing is an absolute beast. I've been here myself, and it offers a lot of airtime, and it sort of acts almost like a hypercoaster in ways. It's very smooth as well. So even though it is a wooden coaster, it's very, it doesn't sort of feel like a wooden coaster when you're riding it.
Okay, let's take a look at the POV. So I guess the interesting thing is this got retracked, didn't it? About 2 years ago. Did you go on it before or after it was retracked?
It's actually before I went on it, and people were saying that, well, it was generally getting a bit rough, I suppose. I didn't find it that rough, apart from when I went on it about the 10th time in a row, and I felt like my back was going to break. That's probably my own fault, though. But it's still very smooth, and I imagine it's a lot smoother now, with the retrack.
Yeah, and it's pretty high, isn't it? We're at what, about 100 and feet at the moment. Yeah, that's a big drop for a wooden coaster.
It's crazy, yeah. And it's that the first drop, when you come over this bit and go over that hill, the airtime you get on that is insane. It's actually all these hills. It's kind of like an out and back sort of woody, isn't it? That's what it is.
And the smoothness comes from the fact that the track has been like pre-assembled. Usually with wooden coasters, they will actually build the whole thing on site from scratch, essentially. But the thing that makes these a bit smoother and a bit more sort of accurate in their build is that the pieces are kind of assembled before they get to the park, and then they're just kind of stitched together, which is it's the same way that a steel coaster is built. But yeah,
it's also cost effective, isn't it, as well? They can do it in a factory because it's quicker to build on site. I mean, with this ride, it offers so much airtime, and it's very fast, and it's high. I mean, like I said, it acts like a hypercoaster. And there's not actually many of these around at the moment, isn't there, Nick? Because there's obviously Boulder as well at Lisburg. They're quite rare these days.
Yeah, and I think the interesting thing about Boulder, which we have been on together, is that Colossus is a huge ride, but actually Boulder is very compact. So if we're looking at, rides that may be more likely to go into, I mean, there's a lot of space in the London Resort, but maybe we won't be seeing huge, like, out and back coasters.
I mean, the recent one, I know we're talking about Europe, but there's El Toro, isn't there, at Six Flags Great Adventure? I mean, that looks absolutely ridiculous, that ride.
Yeah.
So, you never know. I mean, the London Resort could look into one of these. I'd love to see one there. I think it'd be amazing. So, yeah, fingers crossed. We'll see.
On to the next ride. Okay, so our next coaster is another wooden coaster, but this is from RMC this time, and it's Wildfire at Kolmården Zoo. Any Swedish people watching, let me know if I pronounce that properly, because we were there a couple of years ago, and I don't think we managed to get it down. So, but this ride is pretty incredible. Everyone's talking about wanting to get an RMC at the London Resort, and if it can be something like this, then that would be amazing. So let's take a look and see what's going on with it.
You get some great views at the top here, don't you?
Yeah, and what I really like is this this kind of pre-drop bit where you go over this hump now, and that just actually, if you're in the back, gives you so much airtime as you're coming over that hill from being sort of pulled over it. This element is absolutely insane. The the stall is just like nothing I've ever experienced. And then this wave turn also is just so crazy how you like just get flipped over to one side, but you're being pulled around, and it's like nothing else on any other coaster I've been on. To be honest, this part of the coaster I found slightly dull. What did you think?
Yeah, I thought near the end it kind of slowed down a bit, and it lost its pace, and it kind of, it felt a little bit slow. But as you can see, it's got some more inversions going on here. But I think with the RMCs I've been on, which is actually, in fact, I think it's only 2, but but I think they're quite sort of consistent in their similarities. They got similar ride experiences, I suppose.
I can't wait. If I had the perfect RMC for London Resort, I'd probably put the beginning of Wildfire, which has had the drop was just crazy. The stall afterwards, I thought, was more enjoyable than the weird twisty round and then back the other way thing Untamed has, and then that wave turn, just absolutely insane. Those 3 elements, but then Untamed had a much better second half. I remember we went on it at night, and it was kind of the second half. You were like ducking and diving out of the sort of structure, and spinning around and getting lots of pops of airtime, and that was really enjoyable. A lot more pacey than the second half of Wildfire.
Yeah, I think Untamed never lost its pace, did it? It always kept up speed, and I think me and you we were debating for quite a while, what we prefer between Wildfire and Untamed, and we went with Wildfire because I think I think for me I just prefer. I love the first drop. You get such good airtime on it. Like that stall turn is just ridiculous as well. And the setting, I love the setting of where it is.
One thing to note with the difference between Untamed and Wildfire as well is that Wildfire is technically a fully wooden coaster, and it has wooden track, but it just has the steel topper track. Whereas Untamed is what RMC called an I-box coaster, which means that it's wooden structure, but the track is completely steel. So I think that means it is technically a steel coaster.
Yeah.
The difference really is that I think that the iBox is really the only kind they're making now. It's kind of a next gen version of what they started out doing with Outlaw Run and Wildfire. So I think if we do see an RMC, it's likely to be, it's probably almost definitely going to be an iBox.
I think it's quite likely that London Resort are looking into this sort of coaster, because they are sort of, like you say, the next gen sort of wooden steel coasters, whatever you want to call them, or hybrids. And it will be absolutely fantastic if we got this at the London Resort. So the third ride we are looking at here is Helix at Liseberg, which is in Gothenburg, Sweden. This is manufactured by Mack. So it's a launch coaster, double launch coaster. It's got a few unique inversions in it. It's very fast, and it offers great. It's got some great airtime moments in this as well. It's literally just it's thrilling from start to finish, I'd say. We've obviously got one here in the UK, Icon, which in my opinion is not as good, but this is probably my favorite, I'd say, of the Mack mega coasters that we've seen in Europe.
Let's take a look. Let's get out that station. It's such a unique start to a ride.
Yeah, I was just about to say.
Station down a drop, and what I quite like about that is if you're in the back row, you actually get quite a lot of airtime going down that little drop.
Yeah, you do.
You're into the launch here, and one thing to say about this ride is the launches aren't really. They kind of just serve a purpose. They're fun, but they're not like super forceful.
No.
Even the second one, you don't build up a huge amount of speed. What I really like about this ride is the inversions are really unique. There's this like Norwegian loop that we just saw.
Yeah, that's a great airtime hill here, and then goes into another sort of barrel roll. was it more like a 0G, I suppose. And then you go, you got all these like tight sort of transitions, just so thrilling.
Great positive Gs around that little helix there.
Yeah,
and then into the second launch, which is actually kind of uphill. You can't really tell, it's slightly uphill. That inversion is really crazy. Great hang time at the top.
And this bit as well is just insane. Like the airtime you get on that, because it's also the seats as well on the Mack Mega Coasters. There, you know, you're off the ground. You're not actually, your feet are not actually, you know, sitting on the ground. So it's like you do get you really feel the airtime with the lap bars. It's just crazy. It's such a, and it's another thing is it's very smooth as well. They're just very well manufactured roller coasters.
It's an insane ride experience from start to finish. Like that last airtime hill, you're at the front, you're completely like pushed out of your seat all the way over the crest, and at the back you're just like, you float over it and you can see the whole of Gothenburg in the background. It's an amazing experience. One thing I would say is that after having gone on it a few times, it might have just been because we were getting the beers in a bit at the time, but having gone on it a few times in a row, I did start to feel a bit queasy, because it has got 7 inversions, which is a lot.
I think with Icon at Blackpool, probably, you know, less likely that we could see one at London Resort, but this is these are just great roller coaster experiences. It's one of our favourites. I do actually agree with Nick. I was feeling a bit ill after a few goes, but it offers just everything you love in a roller coaster, really, and some unique inversions as well.
I mean, Icon I still love, and I think it contends for my ¡1 ride in the UK, to be honest. Might just be because it's a novelty for the UK, but I do genuinely think it's a great ride too. So would be very, very happy to see something even on Icon's level at the London Resort.
Yeah.
Okay, and on to the second spot.
Let's have a look. Let's get into it.
So this is actually my favourite ride in the whole of Europe that I've been on. This is Shambala at Portaventura. And I think the great thing about this ride is that it's one of the newer B&M hypers. It has the new style trains, which are kind of so exposed, they're almost like wing trains. If you sit on the second row of each car, there's nothing underneath you, completely open at the sides. But then also it has a few more slightly interesting elements that the older B&M hypers like Silver Star, for example, don't have. Obviously, the thing about any B&M hyper is this first huge drop, which is over 250 foot, which is amazing.
Yeah.
And you go into this tunnel, which is like an amazing sort of head chopper element.
Yeah. I mean, this offers great airtime as well, and it's smooth. But like you say, when you're on the seats on the outside, it's just absolutely insane. Just, you know, it feels like you're almost not even on the track, like, because you kind of acts like a wing coaster in certain ways.
It feels like you're flying. This speed hill is amazing as well. That's another example of something that isn't really done too much on older B&Ms. And then there's this nice splashdown for the people watching.
Yeah, that's nice.
I think these two airtime hills at the end were almost my favorite, because they're so elongated. They're real like floater airtime hills.
Yeah.
And then when you're on the sides with the wings, you just feel like you're flying, basically.
Oh yeah, I mean, B&M are the kings when it comes to roller coasters. I mean, let's be honest, they haven't really released many sort of newer models recently. They're sort of you know, going with the old hat ones, but they're still, you know, being a bit innovative with their you know, like their trains and things like that. But with Shambala, I mean, imagine if we got something like that at the London Resort, and it would just dominate the skyline of, you know, the London Resort, and you could probably see it from central London as well, I'd imagine. I mean, that would be absolutely incredible, wouldn't it?
It would be amazing, yeah. We, like we said in previous videos, if you want to take a look at our video on the London Resort plans, the most interesting things we found, there's a link coming up now. But one of the most interesting things we found, spoiler alert, is that there is clearance of over 300 feet being requested for the central part of the first gate theme park. So it isn't out of the question that something as tall as Shambala might be built.
Yeah, I mean, we discussed this before in previous videos, haven't we? And we're talking about like the footprint of these kind of coasters. Shambala does take up a lot of footprint, as you could see in the video. And they're not really hinting at all in their park map, which, again, we can't really take as gospel.
Yeah, you're right. On the sort of concept art, we don't see any like big, long airtime hills or coasters going over half the park. It seems to be a lot more sort of tight layouts. But
Yeah.
If we do get something, it's probably more likely to be a B&M than other types because they're just so reliable. So we'll see what happens.
So let's go on to the next one then, the last one.
The number one spot.
So the last roller coaster we're going to look at here is Taran at Phantasialand. We have been talking about this all the time. We love this ride. I can't wait for Nick to actually experience this. We hope to get there to Phantasialand as soon as we can. When I went on this ride, I just fell in love with it, really. I mean, it's just got great theming, but it's got a great soundtrack, which is by Imascore. And the ride itself is just just incredible. Got so many tight transitions. The first launch, I mean, we'll have a look at it here, but it is just it's relentless basically. This is actually an Intermin Blitz coaster, and we've seen a few of these crop up. We don't have one in the UK at the moment, so this would be also very good for the London Resort because it's quite compact.
Quite a weird POV, this, isn't it? It's like they've put the camera on the front right of the train, so
I feel like bird a tit or something on a seat, or
it's a weird one. This because just watching the POV, I can obviously tell that it's very exciting, but because it hasn't got any inversions, it kind of just meanders around quite a lot.
I was going to say
it's difficult to sort of see what's so great about it. But can you explain?
I mean, I'll be honest. This is the reason why it's probably not my favourite. Is because that first bit, it feels a little bit like it's just dicking around a bit, and there's not a lot of speed. It's this bit that's just absolutely crazy. There's just you can see how fast it goes here, and you get a lot of. It doesn't look like it, but you do get quite a bit of airtime on this ride, and it's so fast. And like you say, the tight transitions here, like you're flying around in your seat, and it's similar to the Mega Coaster as well. Like the seats are off the ground. So you get a lot more sort of airtime and stuff. So the first bit, is fairly sort of slow, but it still offers such a really good experience. But I think what I love about Taran is just it's got an overall package feel to it. Like I'd say if it was a standalone coaster on its own, it probably wouldn't be the same. It's the fact that it goes around all these tunnels. Even when you're queuing for the ride, it's just got an amazing sort of station, queue line, soundtrack, like I said. And it just, the overall package is it's just so good. It's amazing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's interesting because there's, you can see on the map, they've got in the jungle area, they've got the concept art. There's one that does look like it could be a sort of Taran-esque ride. It's, just like a lot of low to the ground, like twisting track that, could be going in and out of trees and rocks and stuff. And obviously, I think, you're right. We want every attraction to be very heavily themed. I think that's the thing that's going to set this park apart from all the others in the UK.
I'd say it's more likely that we might see a coaster like Taran at a London Resort than something like Shambala or maybe even Helix because of Icon. But that's not a bad thing at all. It's I think for anyone who hasn't been on it, get there as soon as you can because it's worth it for that trip alone. So thank you for watching this video. We hope you enjoyed it. It's always good. I think it's always quite nice to sort of speculate and sort of, maybe to give an idea of what roller coasters we could see at the London Resort. And keep an eye out that we might be doing another live show in the coming weeks. We enjoyed the last time we did that. So it's always good to get you guys involved, our subscribers, just to get sort of your thoughts on the London Resort. I mean, we love to hear your views on it.
Thanks everyone that's been watching along today. And if you agree with our choices of the top 5 rides in Europe, or you want to shout about your favorite that we missed out here, please do get into the comments and let us know.
And as always, please like the video and subscribe if you enjoyed this. And until then, we'll see you soon.